Welcome, and at this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the question and answer session, you may press star 1 if you would like to ask a question. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Greg Bishak. You may begin.
Good. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our new compliance and reporting system. You may know I'm the program manager of Financial Strategies and Research Unit, and we've in the past managed the Community Investment Impact System. This is a new era. We're transitioning into our awards management information system-based compliance and performance reporting system. We have not officially dubbed it a new name to replace CIS, but we're going to be doing that soon. What you're seeing here is a introduction to the changes that are being made for CDFI transactional level reports. You'll notice in this introduction that we're transactional level reports. I'll just do one key thing. We've essentially eliminated the institutional level report. We'll go into those details further. But before I get into our presentation, let me give you a few ground rules. What I intend to do here is introduce our other participants, and then once we do that, we'll go through the presentation once. As going through, please put down any questions you have so that you can bring them back to us. You use either the chat function that you have in the WebEx, or you can call in using the star 1, correct, right? Hit star 1?
Yes, at the time we're ready to take questions, they will hit star 1, record their name, and they will be in the question queue.
Right. So we'll go through the presentation. As questions occur to you, please take them down. We'll be glad to cycle back through this presentation after we do it once. With that said, let me say that we're here with several people from the CDFI Fund, along with over 100 participants. Last time we had counted was 110 from various users that are interested in CDFI program reporting. We have as subject matter experts to assist in answering your questions here from the CDFI Fund, Yang Do, who is CDFI Fund analyst who manages the CDFI program reporting, and in fact what helped redesign CDFI Fund reporting. I want to thank Yang for his fine work at that. He's going to help us answer questions. I also have on the phone Oscar Gonzalez, who's our Assistant Program Manager for Financial Strategies and Research. And a very important player, Dave Geldman from Creative Consultants, who helped us do the AMIS development of the new reporting system. He probably will give us some technical assistance in answering various changes in the way the reporting is done in the AMIS environment, which is different than we had in the CIS environment. So with that said, what I'd like to do is just step through this PowerPoint that I shared screen. I hope everybody can see it. And the overview here is that this transition from CIS to AMIS, as we call it, will take place September 1. Basically after the Labor Day weekend, everybody should be able to access it. Already today, you can go onto the old CIS webpage on the CDFI Fund's website. Many of you have probably already done that, and see all the different documentation, the guidance, the templates, and the supplemental technical documentation to assist you in understanding how the new system works. So please avail yourself of those resources. We had sent that out in an earlier Gov delivery message to the folks that are involved in reporting, And this session is an attempt to sort of step through it, provide you a high-level overview of what's already in the instructional documents, and to be able to engage with you. Anticipate we'll probably have to follow up with a lot of engagement with people given the new system. We'll look at principal changes from CIS to AMIS for CDFI compliance reporting. We'll deal with some who weren't able to finish up in the old CIS environment for the 2017 reports, and we want to talk about how that's going to be handled. One of the principal subjects today will be looking at the mechanics of CDFI transactional reporting and also error correction. There's new that principally applies, it only applies to banks and credit unions, i.e. the regulated institutions, the consumer loan and investment table. That's something new. It's basically a way to deal with the one important function that we retain from the institutional level report. And then certify and submit your TLRs. Those are the broad topics we're going to be covering today, just to give you an overview. Now, to sort of dig down into what are the principal changes, the institutional level report, as we've already said a few times, has been eliminated because really it's redundant now with the annual certification report. And we have you report a lot of institutional level financial data, organizational capacity, and so forth. So a lot of that was already being collected in the institutional level report, or the ILR. And we did this for also reasons of trying to reduce burden. We know that this reporting is very time consuming. It requires a lot of staff, requires a lot of data analysis to get this reporting right. And at every turn in this redesign, we asked ourselves, and all the people that are around the table and on the phone spent thinking about how to reduce burden and we need from a business point of view. Main why we got rid of the ILR, we retained certain critical functions, which we'll talk about momentarily. For the transactional level report, the main changes are that, this is the big one, CDFIs only report the new loans originated in the fiscal year for which you're reporting. That's big because in the past, as you probably know, you had to report on your whole outstanding loan portfolio, which was onerous. And we realized when we reviewed all the internal business needs, much of that could be put aside, particularly because some of the institutional level information about your loan portfolio is now gathered through the annual certification report. So just focus on what we need transactionally. That would be the new loans and the details that we need for various performance goals and measures that are needed to assure that you meet your assistance agreement under the CDFI program requirements. So only originations, massive reduction in burden in terms of data analysis and reporting. Key variables that are eliminated, and this is just a high-level summary, obviously the loans outstanding fields, the actual jobs as opposed to projected jobs, and the reason we're getting rid of the actual is because you're reporting once and you're reporting originations. We don't expect you to have an actual headcount on jobs or any other community impact. It's going to be projected. So you'd be using the projected element jobs estimates. We eliminated what we didn't think would be relevant. There'll be no loans outstanding. You wouldn't be able to sort of come back with an actual number. Investee addresses and some optional fields eliminated. The fields that weren't eliminated were changed to being conditionally or mandatory requirements for reporting. And this is basically a direct result of the last attempt to go out to the industry, the user community, under our request for public comment on our data collection. Who told us, again, get rid of optional fields. If we don't need to collect them, don't collect them. And also from a research and a business point of view, we'd lack the complete data, so it wasn't useful. So we did get rid of those. And left are conditionally required, mainly to meet various kinds of performance goals and measures. And the other main changes were the expanded pick list for transaction types, and we'll get into that a little bit. Low income status, the targeted populations, other populations and users. Please go to your target markets. Those who are experienced know that these are requirements for various performance goals and measures. The additional description for other OTPs. In other words, give us some details on what the other OTP might be or other targeted populations, and likewise for the other OTP end user. And if you're if the loan is guaranteed by a third party, what the third party is. Those are the pick lists. In addition, there's a key pick list. We basically converted the old HFFI pick list. Is this a Healthy Food Financing Award? We converted to a general pick list because the Financial Assistance Award, as you know, has gone in mentions. There's just a Financial Assistance Award, a Native American Award, a CPC Award, an HFFI Award. There's also the Disability Financing Financial Assistance Award. So we have a list now where you essentially select what this award is, and this helps essentially enable or disable certain kinds of reporting fields. It also makes it clear to you, and that's what you're reporting on. Another big change is the Consumer Loan Purpose Table. And by the way, Yang, feel free to jump in here anytime I talk about this table or anything else. But the Consumer Loan Purchase Table addresses a key need that we have for banks and credit unions, particularly in the case of consumer loan purchases or purposes. The consumer loans are voluminous. Banks and credit unions obviously have thousands of such transactions, and that always jammed up the works in reporting and CIS. And so it would take summary information in the old institutional level report. Summary information often lacked details that were necessary to validate key performance goals and measures, namely, was in an eligible investment area? Was this going to a targeted population? So we're asking people to summarize at the census tract level the number of loans and the amount of loans and any key target population or information that's associated with those at a summary level. You'll see how this works when we walk through it. Unregulated CDFIs will continue to report as they have through the transactional level report. They won't use this consumer loan purpose table. An attempt to reduce burden and also increase the transparency and data that we need to validate your performance goals and measures, but principally the population data and where the loan is transacted is in an eligible census tract. At the high level, there was, by the way, detailed discussion in a CDFI crosswalk table that's a technical document that goes with the CDFI TLR documentation that's on the website that talks more about these changes in some more detail. Before I go into what should be in your CDFI TLR, let me just step back. I meant to say this earlier. The system, it has a great virtue because it's now a unified system. And one of the gains you're going to realize as you get through the learning curve of accessing and using this new TLR is that it's faster. You're going to have trouble accessing the system. It'll be available because we have cloud computing. All those old servers that were chugging along with CIS and always crashed, that's the past. Everything's behind one firewall. All the systems communicate to one another. And for instance, if your award profile has been updated, you don't have to get it refreshed through a CIS request. It's instantly updated, and in the way it's through your AMIS organizational tab in your AMIS account that you're going to be able to access your CDFI TLR. AMIS is an integrated system, and that has huge benefits in terms of functionality, access, and performance. That's what we've been aiming for. However, the one thing is this is a new system, and there will be a learning curve, learning how to access and use this system. So on the initial going, we recognize that you're going to have questions. And with the instructions, you'll probably have to go through trying to figure it out and maybe use our service request. Again, the AMIS service request is really going to be important. So let me turn back to what should be in your CDFI TLR. Include only the new loans and investments originated during the reporting period by entities that are actually deploying the FA award. I guess I'll just take a moment to say that we're talking about entities deploying the award. It has to do with principally these bank holding companies and their affiliates. Whoever's deploying, we have to get that information from them if it's the affiliates. That's what we're talking about. We can come back to that if people have questions. Exclude loan purchases. Exclude any new markets tax credit activity that was funded by a qualified equity investment. We all get questions about it. Let's just be up front. Exclude those. Exclude capital magnet fund activity funded by CMF awards. Most importantly, know your organization's reporting period because only loans and investments originated during that reporting period are accepted. The other thing is that in this you have a reporting schedule. You can find out about all reports due in AMIS by looking at your organizational reports due. I don't know if Dave or maybe compliance wants to say anything about that. To that point, your reports due. Okay.
No, just that the schedule is set up in your, excuse me, your AMIS account. So
yeah.
all times when your reports are due.
So that's the benefit of the integrated system. And also, by the way, when reports are due or overdue, you're going to get notices from this system. Again, the benefits of an integrated system. Let's talk briefly about the consumer loan purchase table, just to give you an overview for the banks and credit unions. By the way, so the question, I'll answer it now. It did pop up in the text box about does CMF apply to loans funded with CMF matching funds? Yes. So going back to the slide deck here, consumer loan purchase table for banks and credit unions. This table will provide summary data on consumer loans, a summary of loans by Census Act. The Census Bureau has an 11-digit, what's called a FIPS code, a federal identification, what is postal, remind me, Oscar, FIPS. Do you remember what it stands for? It's a federal identification.
Processing standard. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a 11-digit census tract number. And a summary of those, you can use geocoder to be able to geocode at the 11-digit census tract level. You know our SIMS mapping system allows you to do geocoding. And we want a summary of all the amount of the number of loans and the amount of all loans within that census tract, and reported by organization in that fiscal year for consumer loans. And we want to gather information on your targeted population served. So you're looking at here is the fields that have to be summarized at the FIPS code level if you're a bank or credit union. It's interesting, several years ago, banks and credit unions just give us the amount and number of loans, but they weren't giving us the geographical data. The reason they didn't want to give us the geographical data is that they were really concerned about potentially personally identifying information with addresses for their consumer loans. They were worried about it possibly being compromised. We agreed they could get summary data. We always said we were going to come back and ask for more detail. This is a time when we're asking for more detail. But at the code level, at a census tract level, the ID of the individual's mask, we're gathering just the minimum information we need to be able to understand where this transaction took place and line it with your performance goals and measures. As you know, for instance, with the new FA application, people often commit to working in new investment areas. To validate that, or to validate that you're working in your existing approved investment areas, we need to know where the loans were transacted. Everything else will be reported in the TLR, but the summary information to protect personally identifiable information, to summarize it in an efficient fashion, will be done through this loan purchase table for just banks and credit unions. Okay, hello from Atlanta.
Question, if someone's having problems getting in, they're asking if they can get in, another way to call
it. Someone's asking about, is there a way to listen into the webinar other than calling in? Can you assist us, operator?
The only way to hear the audio is to dial in from the phone.
Okay. How would I reply to that person with text? I don't know. Yeah.
She heard.
She heard, okay.
Oh, okay.
Very good. All right, good. Thank you.
And this is Oscar. Just one thing on the FIPS codes. They're very important because, you know, we report a lot of this information to many of the congressional offices and the appropriators, you know, so it's vital for the CDFI fund to sort of show, you know, all the guys that get awards are serving, you know, in this part of the congressional district, in this FIPS code, persons, they're serving historic underserved populations, they're serving investment areas. So the congressional offices and the appropriators list data periodically when they consider the performance of the CDFI fund and the CDFI fund awardees, consider funding for the nation as well. So these are very important to the case.
Yeah, all the transactional data we gather is really important. Likewise. You see shortly another question came in about the amounts and terms will no longer have to be entered into. In fact, we do have data in the instructions. I would just urge you to go into the instructional documents to see what remaining details on the loans information that's required. We stripped it down to its bare bones. But before I get back to answering this in more detail as we go through this PowerPoint, yes, we'll deal with all the questions as they come through. I appreciate the chat function here. Procedures for 2017 pending reporting. Several people, it was much better than in the past, frankly. People did a good job getting the reports in, but there's a couple dozen that didn't succeed. And able to be the first to use this system, we've asked people initially to submit their transactional level spreadsheets to their AMIS profiles. We're going to get back to you after we review it and give you recommendations on how to revise the submission it's compatible with the new approach to uploading in the AMIS-based platform. There will be no requirements to submit an ILR for those who were late in 2017, because again, the ACR does most of this. The data to just sort of go into the TLR here, sort of view, it's very similar to the format and the guidance that you have in the SIS guidance. You have the type of data point, you have the mandatory, you have the conditional, you have the validations and general guidance. So look at the instructions, you'll see how it walks you through it. I think one of the key things that you really need to know here, since the guidance is very similar, and you're really only dealing with the rates and terms and key outcome measures that you need for your originations, and else that to do with whether or not there were any delinquencies, restructuring, all that stuff is gone from because we no longer track loans outstanding. What was the rates and terms at the point of originating the loan? I don't know, Yang, if you want to give them a quick overview. Some people did ask about what data points are actually included or not.
Yeah, one way to do that is to look into the guidance. Basically, we reduce 1/3 of the total number of data elements in the TOR. Used to be around 100 data elements. Now we have about 66, 67. Mainly our loan performance, for example, target period, affordable housing, things like that. And we do still have like term, original fees, and like that. But I recommend that you should CDFI should look into the guidance. When you do the reports, please read guidance section, the information section, how to report. Also look at the validation rules, because those are very important rules. If you look them and you prepare your the CSV file and upload it, you will receive less error because the computer does check those rules, follow the rules. So please look at the validation rule for each data element if you when you prepare the data CSV file.
Thank you. Keep sending your chats. I appreciate it. We'll catch up with them and try to go through them at the end here. So the key things is really the CDFI TLR reporting. It's different in AMIS than it was in the CIS environment. You used to have one spreadsheet that had a couple of tabs, and you were able to put in the transactions and then the address tabs. Now you basically have two CSV files that you're going to have to upload. If you're a bank or credit union, you would have the consumer loan purchase table to complete. But to really do this, there's three different ways you can do a TLR. One is a manual entry using the user interface in AMIS. This would be using a CSV file. This would be an XML upload for multiple transactions. The CSV and XML files would be used for multiple transactional uploads. Most people would be using that. But let's say you just had one or two lines, you could use the user interface to do that. Just to give you an idea, here's the screen shot basically of the AMIS interface, your home screen. You're on your CI transactional level report on the upper right hand of the ribbon there. Log into your account, click on the CDFI tab, your TLR tab, and then a new CDFI TLR. Hit that button. You can go through this through your related list on your organization page. Since someone asked in passing, it's relevant. No, you weren't sent the guidance. The guidance was sent, was noted in a Gov delivery that went out to everybody that is subscribed to Gov delivery, and also on news and notes on the CDFI Fund webpage. If you go to the CDFI Fund webpage and you go to the Tools tab on the top of the CDFI Fund webpage, you'll be taken to a page that will show you both the AMIS and the CIS options. Select the CIS CISS button. Take you to what used to be the old CIS page. Is now the AMIS compliance and reporting page, and in it all the new guidance will be there. Please go there. And for those who are late, we're only covering the TLR because the ILR has been eliminated. Again, this presentation will be published after this webinar is over. It's being recorded. For those who come late, if you have what's being recorded, we suggest you drop off. Otherwise, welcome aboard. But again, make use of these instructions. This view is an attempt to reach out, do an initial kind of high-level analysis of what's new, give you the functionality. And right now we're looking at the functionality, just entering the system, doing a simple manual report to click on your enter AMIS account, click on the CDFI TLR tab, create a TLR, and then you can begin to enter transactional level data. Again, another way to go in the so-called organizations related list tab. There's also a manual entry of transactional data for the address. A similar thing, you then click on the CDFI TLR address tab to create a new address, fill relevant information. But you do this using a CSV file, multiple transactions. This is what the interface looks like, by the way, for just a single manual entry on the CDFI AMIS TLR address entry. We'll turn to what probably most people are going to want to do for the thousands of loans. I know the unions and banks have reminded us of how many thousands of loans they do in the chat function here, and we know that. And that's why we have the CSV upload to be able to do multiple uploads at one time. Well, I insist you would use this as the way to take your loan processing software and output the data and input it into this file. To get to template, AMIS users need to click on the TLR ImportExport Certified tab and their organization want to create a CDFI TLR for, and then you click your CDFI TLR CSV link to download the template. That's what we're looking at here. Hey, Dave, Otter, Yang, if you have additional comments, feel free to jump in. But the way this TLR CSV upload looks, I mean, there's a very important piece in the instructions, but we called it out here in this slide. The structure of the CSV file. It has labels in the first, row. We see what we're looking for. Second row gives you the type of the field, the data format. Row gives you the options, if there are options for filling out these fields. And the fifth row gives you the help desk text. And that's important. You're actually then entering data from rows 5 onward to essentially populate your transactional data. And it would be populated from column B through from row 5 forward. For those who are to AMIS and they're trying to find TLR tabs, they won't be showing now because it hasn't gone live. It's I'm sorry, we're not live yet, but that's after September 1. Expect that after Labor Day you'll be able to do this. This is an attempt to give you a preview. Also, our apologies to people that they're not able to get a preview of the XML schema. Again, the schema is available only through the system. Once we go live, you'll be able to do that. But for now, this is what we're attempting to do, and mainly we're previewing the CSV approach. Once the CSV file, after you've saved the file in the AMIS portal, click Import, the CDFI TLR link. You choose the file that you're going to upload, and then you hit the upload function. And these slides will be available. They will be posted online after the presentation. Our operator will describe the process. It usually takes 2 or 3 days, I believe. The big thing, after you get through familiarizing yourself with the form and the proper formatting and the importing your data and uploading, is, of course, there'll be an error correction process. And if you made any errors while filling out your form, your CSV, you'll receive an email with the error records. There'll be 2 things you'll get, and we'll show you that in a slide here. The error records and another file with the errors themselves. You'll be able to view these files in the AMIS portal, and when you click on the links, it'll show you these 2 files. Basically, what comes up next are these 2 files. It shows you the error files, and the other one actually shows you the errors that are highlighted. This portal is where you're going to get these. You'll click on that, and it'll download. I don't know, Dave, if you want to say anything about that.
I will say that on the screen here, the user enters in or uploads the file, get an indication if it's successful or fails. In this case, it's a failure, and it's red. If it's successful, you'll get green, and you won't have to do anything else. It'll load it in correctly, and then you're ready to certify it. But in case it fails, you'll see indication in red, and then to the right, you'll see 2 files. One file is going to be basically the errors of the data themselves. So you're going to get, for those records that didn't insert, you're going to get one file that's going to list all those records. The second file is going to be basically the reason why it didn't insert correctly. So the thought is you'll just take the data file, you get the errors, you'll fix it, and then you can use that same file after you fix it to import it.
No doubt that there's going to be a learning curve here for folks, but the process is basically similar. The one big difference is the old Excel spreadsheets where you could submit both tabs in one spreadsheet. Here you have these separate files that you're submitting for the transactions and the addresses, and you upload them separately. I don't know, anything else to add to that, Dave?
That covers it.
So, error file, it'll tell you the origination, transaction ID, the error, the fields, to help you better understand what needs to be fixed. And it tells you in the listing here what the error is, just to amplify what Dave said. The error file will contain actual records that the user tried to upload, and this is what you need to edit. This is the point Dave was saying. Once you edit it, then you can upload it. And this process will be used for the CSVs, for the address file, and the consumer loans and investments originated file. I know this is just a very high level. It's probably almost a tease at this point, but that's all we're attempting to do, is to give you a general introduction. Again, refer you to the website, the guidance. Please look over. Go live next week. We do expect lots of inquiries, and we're definitely going to be ready to help you.
Yes, Oscar, I just checked both Google and Bing, the search engines. If you type the word CDFI, second word CIS, they bring directly to the instruction page, both systems. So in Google or in Bing, and the other second word is CIS, CISS, you'll be directly to the page with all the instructions for both, subcategories for like the CSV file upload and for the CDFI transaction level report as well. So you can access it directly from Google search.
By now, the CDFI Fund website, go to the Tools page, click on that, and you'll click on CIS and you'll be there too. So either way, sorry it's not live today, but step by step, that's how we're doing this. So the big feature that's new is the consumer loan and investment origination table. The credit unions and banks need to report to consumer loans. I know we've already gotten a question. I'll just answer it now. So, FIPS are very detailed. Can't we use zip codes? Let me remind people the reason we're not going to use zip codes is zip codes transect geographic boundaries and can't unambiguously locate it in a census tract. You may recollect that census tracts are by statute the required unit geography for CDFI eligible investment areas. So we're bound by statute to use census tracts. And on top of that, there's a certain messiness in using FIPS codes. They don't translate to the census tracts. They cross boundaries. It's word only easier, but it's not. We will be glad to discuss this further with credit unions and banks. I'm sure they'll have questions, but we'll take them up from this. Again, what you have is a dedicated loan origination table that you click on, and it's from there that you're able to facilitate a unified file. This is like a one-off example of what if you're just doing one loan, use the user interface. This is what the data fields would look like. But to go to the table approach, you would select your TLR import, export, CSV button. You would then click the certification, excuse me, I thought there was a slide in here showing us the table. To go back to the earlier slide, we're talking about all loans originated in the fiscal year, consumer loans, just consumer loans, that are summarizing them with by FIPS code. And you can do this you can process this internally to summarize these and then to give us the various characteristics of the loan. We're not asking for anything else about the loan performance. Just what it was and whether or not it was serving targeted population. Some of the amount and number of loans. That's the key thing here. If you're serving low-income targeted populations, yes, no. They don't. The number and the amount in the FIPS code. If you're other targeted populations, number and the amount. That's it. We're going to attempt to be a summary table. And we thought this thing through. This is the de minimis we need to meet your financial assistance performance goals and measures. As our clients team knows, the program team isn't here, but they would be nodding in a sense that those are the things, the minimum things we need to evaluate your PG&M compliance. One other thing, surveying, which is equivalent to submitting, certify your CDFI TLR. You have to navigate to the import-export certify. You select the organization. Then you click on the certified TLR. You will, be directed to a certification statement, which, by the way, is more compact. There's less legalese, and it basically says that you certify that you've abided by all guidance and that this data is valid based on your understanding of the data, and you certify that and submit it. If they pass all the validations, it'll be certified. If an error comes up, you have to go back and do error correction. But I think by now, if you got to that certification page, it would be unlikely that that would have happened because you would have already had to try to upload it. Doing a final certification, you have nothing else to add. It should just go cleanly and it should be submitted. You'll be able to view the status of your TLRs. There's a screen to show you the status, the time it was submitted. There'll be ambiguity. You have transparency into the process. This is a step forward also. You can see this necessarily always clearly in CIS. I mean, have a record. People take screenshots of it, but this is a little more transparent because you're in the system. There's also the option for those who do use the XML file to create and report multiple TLRs. Again, you go in and you select the import-export. You'll select the CDFI TLR XML schema, and then be able to sort of complete that and then import it back into the system. Same error correction process would take place once you and upload your file. If there's errors, you would have to go back and correct the errors. There's a document that's online about XML uploads and also the error correction. It's instructions on the web page, so please review those if you use XML. If you're a vendor and you're on here, you know there's a vendor webinar for vendors. That went out to people. If you have questions, certainly get back to the CDFI fund about it, and we'll tell you about that. This is the initial overview of the CDFI TLR. I know these are the help desk numbers you probably have seen before for the AMIS help desk, and also have the CDFI fund help desk. Those are the 2 points of contact that we ask you to go through. But you're in the system and you have a problem in the system, please use the AMIS service request to set a problem that you know that you're having. Perhaps you can even attach more information while you're live in the system. Otherwise, certainly go to the help desk, the AMIS help desk, or the CDFI fund help desk. I don't know, Dave or T, perhaps you want to talk about the help desk function, or?
No, you covered it.
Okay. So we've had a lot of questions that came in. I know that I've answered a few of these. You know, this is a good question that just came in. It's the last one. I'm going to just sort of take it. What is the limit of the number of rows we will be able to upload per file? Limit?
Not necessarily a limit per se. The way the system works is it will process the file. There's a lot of records, and in our case, we tested, up to 1,000 or so. Depending on what else is going on in the system in terms of bandwidth, it may take longer. I mean, it will take longer based upon the number of records, but there isn't necessarily a limit.
Okay. Likewise, still geocoding would take place through our community impact mapping system, and you can do bulk geocodes there. Now, someone asked about projected jobs. Let me just go ahead and answer that. These are still projected jobs. The guidance is clear. It hasn't changed since last time. It's in CDFI. It'll be plus created as total jobs. We're not asking for actuals anymore because it's simply what was projected at the point of origination of the loan. Likewise, with other community outcomes, we're talking about projected outcomes, community capacity, facilities, child care, provision, clients served. They're all projected. We recognize that. We're not going to ask for actuals because we're only looking at origination. This is just for CDFI, this session today. Tomorrow at 1 to 3 p.m. a webinar on new markets reporting and CDEs. New markets will have a TLR and an ILR. We'll discuss that tomorrow. So it's about the entity that received the award. In award, you don't need to do an annual TLR. the thing you'll do if you're newly certified is an annual certification report, which will come a year after. Isn't that right, Tanya?
Right.
Certification. There's an interesting question here. Said to exclude loan purchases. What if we participate in a loan at closing? So technically it may be a purchase, but we are involved at closing, so it's more of a participation than a straight purchase.
If you participate in a loan, like 50% of a total loan, you just report the portion that you are responsible for is a loan. You don't have to report the whole loan. Just for example, original amount $1,000, and you just responsible. You participate 50% of that, which is $500. So when you report a loan, you report total amount of $500. Just report the portion you are responsible for.
So Elaine, second notice went out, Elaine DePietro, on 8/20 about the two different webinars. Sorry, we didn't nail that down in our initial email, not on the 6th, but we did decide that it would be more efficient to try to do each program separately. Again, probably we'll do some outreach once the system goes live. We haven't decided that finally, but we've thought that might be necessary. So let's see, the required fields, yes, that's discussed in the CDFI TLR Crosswalk. You can find that document online. It's also in the instructions, gives you detailed information on what's required for 2018 reporting. So that's about the SIMs, 1,100 records at a time. Right now, SIMDL has its own limitations on its servers. I believe we still believe in 500 records at a time. That's our recommendation. Although you're not doing it at a high period, availability of the system and its processing power tends to be faster. But some credit unions have 20,000 originations per year. That's true. We have discussed what other geocoders could be used, but that thing that in terms of actually being able to identify investment areas, you may want to know that using the official website of the USIMS mapping system. But it is possible you can generate your codes using any geocoder as long as you have good accuracy on your geocoder. You might be able to process them faster. We're just looking for the FIPS codes. No.
Yes, and one is that in the the U.S. Census Bureau allows up to 10,000 records at a time, and that's sort of like an authoritative and a replicable system. So it will always give you the same sort of FIPS code whenever you do it, but it has up to 10,000 records at a time can be geocoded in the official U.S. Census Bureau website.
So again, we're going to make these slides available. We're going to make the presentation available. In fact, I don't even know why there's any reason we can't just post it to the website as opposed to just having the recording, but we can do both. It's kind of a Cliff Notes thing. We encourage you to go back and look at the instructions themselves. They're more detailed. Come back to this FIPS code question. Yeah, again, we recognize it would be nice if we could have a higher level of aggregation, but we can't because of statutory requirements. Affiliates. The only affiliates that we have to be concerned about reporting are bank holding companies whose affiliate is deploying the award. There aren't any in any given year. It might be a dozen to maybe 14 in a given year awardees that are of those types. Anybody else, it's the awardee that's reporting. So don't be confused by what we said about affiliates. It only applies to bank holding companies to get an award that's deployed by their affiliates. And if you were one of those, it will say so in your assistance agreement. Your assistance agreement. Yeah, notice that went out from the CDFI fund on the 20th. Again, just that this notice went out. I'm sorry not everyone got it in a timely fashion. Please review the guidance that's online about what the fields are that new originations require. There are rates and terms, fees, and the sort of outcome reporting. All those things that are origination, all those things that talk about delinquencies, days overdue, all that stuff is gone. We eliminated 3% or more of those fields, so it should be easier. So I think I've gone through the chat box. If the operator wants to open up the phone line, I'd be glad to entertain phone calls, further chat questions. Something came in about I don't know either. All there. I think they're coming in different ways. Operator, it's interesting. There's a menu at the top of our answers, and there's one that says all, and the other one says my QAs. It's coming in sort of two different views.
Just seeing the one view, but questions from the phone lines at this time. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star followed by number 1. Please remember to unmute your phone and record your first and last name clearly when prompted. Once again, if you have a question from the phone lines, press star 1 and record your name. I do have one already in queue. That question comes from David Camp. Your line now open.
Good day, David.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Saw you yesterday at the Aerial conference.
Well, it's good to hear you again, David.
My question is, early in the presentation you said only reports on new loans for fiscal year end should be not reporting on the old loans. And then in a slide a couple ways down, it said include only new loans originated by entities doing FA awards. So at CDFI, we make loans with our FA grants. We make loans with our own money from other sources. So we've always reported all loans, whether it's with an FA or with our own money. Change to just FA, or should it just be the way we've been doing it?
It's the way you've been doing it. We still want to know everything you're originating in a given year because really when you think about it, David, trying to give you credit for all your transactions that would be within your, sort of 60% or more within your target markets.
Well, we thought maybe that change was made where you're now just reporting on FAs.
That's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up because we do need to clarify that a little bit in the instructions. Thank you for that.
Yeah, another question. During the certification process that you went over, you submit the reporting, et cetera, just like in the past using the old SIS. But in old SIS, we used to pre-certify, and that was accepted. It was kind of a way to see if everything was up to snuff before we, got into the CDFI fund. So is the pre-certification process gone?
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yes.
So the questions, unless something else comes up between the two of us here. So I appreciate your responses. And you and Trevor yesterday.
So that. Any other calls online? Otherwise, I'm going to take some that.
At this, no further questions from the phone queue. Once again, if you have a question, just press star 1 and record your name.
we've got a couple other questions. Let me sort of pull these up as they come through. Okay, and you asked a question here. It's a good one. Maybe we missed something in our guidance. Several data points still specify whether the values remain the same throughout the life of the loan. Could you clarify? Obviously, it's at the point of origination. If we have that lingering in the instructions, thank you for that edit. We will take that up and clean it up. Perhaps that's the case in some points we missed. Certainly for the award period, we were the entire fiscal year. Yes, it's your reporting period is your fiscal year, and it begins. Your reporting requirement is 6 months after the end of your fiscal year. If you have a 12/31, you're reporting on June 30th, which is our usual big crunch time, right? So. Question, would indirect auto loans be considered loan purchases excluded from reporting? If you're not originating them, I would say so. Okay?
Yes, that's correct. If you do not originate loan, don't report them. Just the one that you originate.
Let's see, loan update fields for removed interest rate is still at the reporting period. Yeah, you know, that I think I did notice that reporting period end. We clean that up. Loan status is still in the TLR. Yes, it's really loan status at the when reported, right?
Yes. The only status is the one that you report at the end of the reporting period. The rest of them, it's just you have to report at the time you originate a loan. Only status, because sometimes like you make a loan from beginning and then at the end, about a year later, you know, you don't cut some kind of default stuff like that. So it's useful information in that sense. So for loan status, you need to report at the end of the reporting period.
Yeah, there's a difference, and then on top of that, could be sold. There's things that could happen between the point of origination and the end of your reporting period, and if we capture that data, that's useful to us. We don't have to do a TLR because we don't have an award and only have the annual certificate. Does that mean certifications still require entire portfolio data or just originations? At this time, the requirements we have totally synced up. These TL reporting with AR reportings. There are still some loan portfolio data in the ACR. I think that portfolio data in the ACR is required by program and to evaluate financial condition of the certified CDFI if they're coming in for an award. The purposes too, I don't know if certification has any opinion on that matter, but yeah, we do collect some data in the ACR that's about our portfolio. One of the key things obviously is portfolio risk. That's one thing. It's another risk. It's a set of risk metrics, but we're not asking you to provide transactional data. We're asking you to provide summary data. That's the difference here. The TR used to require literally transactional data for all outstanding loans. It was an undue burden, and we've eliminated it for that reason. The system will be available throughout the year to accept TLR data. In fact, if you're, let's say you have a 12/31 end of fiscal year, and you get your financials done by the end of January, you can start reporting in February. There's no need to wait till 6/30. And we've encouraged banks and credit unions to do that to try to minimize the huge crush at the 6/30 reporting period. And I think we're going to do more aggressive outreach to encourage people to do that, regardless, because, for instance, the geocoding system will probably be more balanced in its utilization if you do that. And there's other reasons too, help desk and so forth. But yeah, available throughout the year, and as soon as you you can fiscal year, you have your financials in order, you can go in and report at any time thereafter. Encourage it. Yang, we don't actually collect data on anything other than we have the loan purchase, loan participation data being collected like we had in the ILR.
No. So collect the loan purchase, loan sold table. No, we no longer collect them.
Right. So put that aside. We were very careful in our deliberation over eliminating that requirement, but programs said that they didn't need it. Compliance and monitoring didn't need it. So again, we wanted to be parsimonious in our data collection, so we eliminated it. And again, certification does not require a TLR at this time for certification. I think we might have gone through all the questions. I don't know if there are any other questions. I'm going through the chat function questions.
Scroll to the bottom to see if any new ones.
Yeah. All right, here. Direct loan. Understand the purposes here. The performance period is detailed in your assistance agreement. There's going to be no difference between the performance period and what's in your assistance agreement. Your assistance agreement is the binding legal requirement for you in terms of reporting. Again, it's dependent on your full year. If you have a 6/30 end of fiscal year, you report 12/31. Our two biggest report period cohorts are those that have 6/30 end of fiscal year and they report December 31st. The ones they have a December 31st end of fiscal year, they report 6/30. Those are standards, aren't they, Tanya? There's nothing. There are some organizations that have odd end of fiscal years. We know who they are. But you can go into your AMIS profile and you can see what reports you have to do and when they're due. That's like the virtually integrated system. We have to go back in there and look at it. And by the way, if you're not, up until now you hadn't really been involved in using AMIS, there are FAQs on the AMIS website about getting in AMIS, using AMIS. You need to make sure that your organization profile in AMIS is up to date. Sometimes people think they have permissions to go in and do reports and they don't, and they're unable to access the report. That's because your profile permissions need to be updated. You submit a service request from whoever the authorized user with permission is to the help desk to ask to add the permission for whichever individual is needed to get access to the system to do the reporting. So again, that's the virtue of an integrated system, and your AMIS account is going to be critical, but it'll be instantly updated now. There's no need, as in the past, to have my CDFI fund account information updated from AMIS. That's gone. My CDFI fund doesn't exist anymore, and now just the AMIS or profile that controls that information. Let's see, any other questions? Yeah, your 2017 report wasn't successfully submitted in the old SIS system. One of the 20 CDFIs that still have to report, you do have to submit late an ILR. The only thing you have to submit late is a TLR. For now, what the CCME, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya, but compliance monitoring unit reached out to everybody who was late, asked them to go in and attach to their org profile their TLR for 2017, whatever they had that didn't upload into the system. we'll inspect it and get back to you. We still have to work out the timeline on that, but within the next few weeks, we'll get back to you, telling you about how you reconfigure your TLR to put it into the new AMIS system. You have to do an ILR, but you will have to submit the transactional data. It'll be modified. We'll be taking those that are the new originations and some other data fields, which we'll go through and mark up for you, help you understand what has to be eliminated, what subset of data would then be uploaded into the CSV files. You would load up one that would have the transactional information, another that would have the address information. And also the creative team would help us with the service requests to make sure that people's questions are answered when they have error corrections. Let's see, there looks like 2018, there's a question about FY 2018.
He's just correcting himself.
Okay, all right, 2018. 2018, yes. 2018, there's no ILR. It's gone. In its place is the annual certification report, and we are attempting to sort of improve that slightly. We'll be going back out to people about that, but I think it is getting a lot of the same information that was collected in the ILR, and hence it was redundant, and our mandate from Congress is not to collect redundant information, and that's what we're aiming to do. And we do listen to folks about that, and we take that seriously, because I'll tell you, trying to manage this information on this end is a burden too. So we reduce your burden, we reduce our burden. That's any other questions. We're at 2:15. Glad to entertain more questions if there are some. Vine or Kitchen. This was just a high-level overview. Again, please go look at the documentation. And if you have questions about that, you can get back to us through these help desk contacts, and we'll be glad to clarify them. I always appreciate editorial comments. So if we have editorial improvements to make in our instructions, please send them along. More questions and clarification.
If you have a question from the phone lines, please press *1 and record your name.
Hopefully the audience found this useful. I appreciate you listening in. It's important to do this, to reach out to you. We learn by doing someone else here. If drawn loans, let's see, that was interesting. Now, how does that come up? We were getting another kind of message. Let me see. Maybe it's coming in through here. Let me just see here. Someone sent me what was it? Delay.
It is a delay.
Yeah, it could be.
Did show up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Coming through soon.
They're coming through either the chat or the Q&A.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, got a great job. Thumbs up. Appreciate it. Appreciate throughout too. I mean, this is the way we get it done. We get it done better. We get it done more efficiently. We're open to input from you folks. Thanks again. Any other questions or comments? We're still open for business. Any amendments to the audited financial statement requirements? Tanya, you have, I don't think there is there?
No.
Okay. Excuse me, no. It's the same. We're under uniform reporting requirements to the Office of Management and Budget promulgated. They haven't made any changes under this administration. It remains the same. One upload. You upload your financial statements to your org profile. You don't have to submit them like, well, it's only the case that you submitted them on new markets transactions through the the CIS system. We ended the CIS TLR for CDFIs as being a vehicle to submit financials. So all your financials are attached to your org profile for sessions.
Greg, what happens if you click that down arrow next to the Q&A?
Let me just sort of say, just see to
Okay.
To me. Let me just see one there. Weird. That way. Oh. Oh, okay. Well, we don't seem to have any other questions coming in from the chat or the voicemail. We'll invite questions one more time, and then otherwise I think we're going to call it an afternoon. I hope this was useful to people. We are the credit unions and banks. We'll probably engage with you further around this volume. And I think that'll be it for today. If there's any final lingering questions. Okay, I think that's it then. Well, thank you for your time and attention. I hope we found this useful. We will post the slide deck to the website, and then likewise we'll have the full recorded session, which then we hope will be useful to users. And we always have the help desk and also the service request function. By the way, we're attempting to integrate our help desks, and we have a longer-term plan for that, which we hope will make it more seamless and unified so that you're not getting bounced around. We do think that the service request has one great merit. There is transparency to an individual who submitted it to see what the status is, and that's important. And we're seeking to make that even more transparent and to get the initial assignments correct. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to that, but
Not at this time, no.
okay. I think that's it then. Just anything else came in? Nope. I think we're at the end of the day. Once again, thanks to the operator. Do you want to make any closing summary, operator? I think we're going to call it a day.
Okay. That concludes today's conference. Participants may now disconnect, and speakers